And so as Amber had said earlier, as part of my master's thesis, I did a survey of organizations that have digitized their archaeological collections. What I wanted to be able to see was how these collections are made accessible to users. And so I'll be very brief and just focus primarily on the results. One of the first things that I looked at was the digitization of these collections. And 100% of the respondents said that digitization benefited user access to the collections long term, and that the top three reasons that they were digitizing their collections were to increase the access, to improve their research capabilities, and improve the management of the physical collections. However, a majority of them said that insufficient money, staffing, and time were the barriers for them to digitize their collections, and that this was throughout. So there were 9 respondents who were part of fully grant-funded programs, and even they also said that money was the major issue for them, that they were not able to finance the total digitization or to digitize as completely as they wanted to all of their archaeological collections. So in terms of the findability, so the ability for a user to actually find the collection, it was a majority said that users are still searching on the internet for their collections, and that they are actually not using digital repositories or data aggregators to find information about the collections. And this is a common thing, as data repositories are still relatively new in the archaeological and museum communities. So in terms of access, it was again through organization and collection-specific websites that users were accessing the archaeological collections, or they were requesting data directly from curators or collections managers within the institution. The barriers that users find when they're trying to access these collections are legal, so copyright, privacy issues. And several of the organizations that were part of the survey said that they had things like human remains or indigenous artifacts that they are not legally allowed to share. So that was a major impact for them. And then the others were more focused on the digital collections themselves. So the structure of the digital collection, so being able to navigate wherever the collection is housed, the technology that either the organization or the users have, that they're not compatible with each other, or that the organization doesn't have the technological capability to provide as much access as they would like. And then it's also the insufficient documentation within the collection itself. So the original catalog records or the legacy data is not complete. So they're not able to share as much information as they would like. So in terms of discoverability, so for me, this was the ability for a user to find information about a particular digital object within the collection. And I'll try to zoom in on this part as this is very small, is that for the most part, organizations are sharing basic label data. So this is an object description, the object type, where it was found, its time, place, and the materials it's made of, and images of the physical object. So more advanced data, so enhanced data like a detailed description of the object, associated records and documentation, so field notes, archaeological or archival documents and publications, and then the most advanced link data, so being able to link this object with other objects within that collection or other organizations, that it was primarily the more basic data they were able to share, and that as they had either more funding or they were uploading their data into aggregators or repositories, the more advanced data they were providing. And that's the same with the data curation. So everyone so primarily there was a basic data level curation, or it was dependent on the collection within the object within the collection. But those who were part of a data aggregator or repository were doing more enhanced data level curation and we're providing more enhanced metadata. So rather than focusing on the schema, so the structure, and using things like Dublin Core or Spectrum 5.0, they were using controlled vocabularies and cataloging rules to make their data more standardized and more enhanced. And so if you have any further questions, you can ask them later on, and I'll be able to give a more full description.